Hey, how are you? Good to see you. So, this is like a redo of the stream that I did the other day. So, it's a couple days later. I didn't really know what I was doing, so it came out to be pretty bad. I just figured I'd record it and I'd be able to have a better control over things. But, gonna do the same thing. So, I'm actually gonna be going over more in these videos. I'm actually gonna do two where I'm going to go over stems from songs that are on the album, and then I'll make a second one where we go over songs that didn't make it on the albums. And I thought that'd be pretty cool. So we're going to start off with the title track, Pressure. Let's take a full listen, and then afterwards we can go over everything inside of it. So that is Pressure, and that was, I don't know, that came along probably right in the middle of making the first album. It was always, I think, gonna be the first track in the track list, but it didn't come along until maybe halfway. I think I know for a fact the first song I came out with, the first song that I made for the record was right here. But let's go over Pressure and let's talk about its components. So it started out with these guitars, and please have some grace with me. I fumble around the DAW still. So we'll solo it out and then talk about it. So it started out with these guitars. This like chord progression thing going on, and that pretty much plays the whole song. And there's this like little melody here, just a little like muted thing to give it some rhythm. Right, pretty cool. And then the drums are just this loop that again plays through this whole song that I found on Splice, and I put EQ, saturator, distortion, and the limiter on to just have it kind of pound the whole time. Pause. So it just hits a little harder when I add all this. That's all. Unfortunately, I can't show the like effects of the guitars. I can tell you for a fact, for anyone who's like a producer, I used Neural DSP and all other stock plugins from Ableton to give the guitar tones. I think I used Archetype Corey Wong for all of the guitars. And then the bass, which is kind of funny that I didn't notice this when I was actually making the song, but I accidentally put, like you can hear it, accidentally put the drums in one of the bass tracks. So I just by the time I noticed, it was too late. So I think that's funny. And then, so we have it. This is an electric bass. I didn't label them because I have no organizational skills, but this is me playing live bass. And then underneath it for this first part is a synth bass, which I can say with almost 200% certainty that that was made in Serum. And it was either, I have such a bad habit of doing that, I'm sorry. It was probably a preset that I just fumbled around with, and then together they sound like this. But yeah, the synth bass is just there to give it a little more low end, give it a little more push. And then for this first section, the other thing we have is, of course, vocals. So the lead,
I'm trying not to overthink,
they're all
about your body or the way you use it. And now it's all that I could think, and now I'm forcing lyrics into my soul.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, what I actually did is you can only see that there's, no, okay. What you see here is just auto-tune and Melodyne, but I'm almost 100% certain what I did with all of these vocals was, I ran through the amp. I used Archetype again, and I just took off everything but the amps, and I ran the vocal through the amp, and then I'm pretty sure I printed them, and then I put auto-tune on. Actually, no, I didn't print them, so that's a lie. This might not have it on there.
I'm trying not to
this one's clean. So I'm just talking smack.
About your body or the way you use it. And now it's all that I could think, and now I'm forcing lyrics into my soul. I don't need distance, but you're proving me wrong.
Right.
You keep your ego, but don't let it show.
These are awful when you just solo them. Yeah, these have Archetype on them, and it's just to make them a little grittier.
I'm trying not to overthink, think about you.
Make them a little more saturated and dirty. I felt like it really lended itself to the character of the song. And then on the vocal bus, we just have EQ, compression to bring them all together, reverb, EQ, EQ. And they're all the leads. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 leads going on, and they're all right down the middle of the mix, which means that they're not playing in one ear more than the other. And it's kind of unusual, I feel. I don't know. I say it's unusual. I've never really seen other people's sets like I've seen mine. So I don't know if it's normal.
I'm trying not to overthink, think about your body or the way you use it. And now it's all that I can think, and now.
Because it just adds layers. It makes it sound like it has more depth to it, and that there's more going on when there's real. It takes up more of the stereo space, even though it's right down the middle. It gives more, like, I can do different, I'll show you. I can do, I don't know if I did it in this one, but I can do different voices. I can put on different tones in my voice. I can kind of play characters in the voice, and they all kind of sound a little different when you put them together.
I'm trying not to think about your body or the way it is, and now it's all that I could think, and now I'm forcing lyrics into my song.
Putting as much into it.
I don't need distance, but you're proving me wrong. You keep your ego, but don't let it show, and I know.
Or in that one. And some of them cut out at different points too. And so it's kind of like...
Oh, and I know, and I know, and I know, and I know that you won't let it go. Time is lost, I don't want to wait.
And yeah, so that's pretty characteristic of my songs, where I'll have a number of the lead just doing the same thing, but like with different timbres or tones. And at parts they'll cut out and then come back to kind of reduce the focus or bring the focus back to what's happening to make it more intense. I did not mean to spend that much time on the vocals. And the backgrounds will do the same thing, where the backgrounds sound terrible when you solo them. Awful, just abysmal, abominable, but they add character to the track, and that's, like you can hear, I'm just fumbling around. And they're just to add character, because you're not really listening to the background vocals. They're just to add harmony or add character. So they don't have to sound perfect. So then, as we're building up to the kind of like break point, we have more guitar. So we have this guitar, which is just playing the root of the song, and it's got a delay on it. This little melody that I have playing to both ears, panned. This extra like drum loop kind of comes in to add some layers, to add some depth, and that's literally just, sorry, I probably shouldn't talk while it's playing. That comes in just to add depth and a layer down to the drums, give it a little more punch. And that's literally just like, this is a sample loop that I found and just copied in, but this brown one is select samples that I picked out, like specific drum or specific snare hits, kick hits that I put into an Ableton drum rack, lined up and played in the same pattern that this loop is. So this is it solo, and then I'll add in the other drum. It just adds a little depth. I think there's a little more high end on the drum rack. Give it a little more sizzle. And then these synths come in to play a little melody. And a lot of the times in my songs, in my mixes, I'll have little synths that do this exact same thing, where that was originally the lead vocal melody that I was going to sing. But for one reason or another, I decided to go with something else. And I decide, well, I don't want to get rid of it, so I'll just make a synth and kind of have it play low. So we have this little drum thing that goes on to add to kind of bring us into the chorus. Oh, it's not what I thought it was. I thought that was the actual one. But so that's a tom loop, again from Splice, that I put in there. This is what I was actually talking about. It's probably this section. Whatever, it'll play. Yeah, which is just I took the loop and I kind of stretched it out, and it distorted it and made it sound cool. And so that leads us into and that is going to be where all these guitars come in, all these synths come in. And so a fun fact about this song was it's always been this kind of verse, break, chorus, ending song. It never had a structure, and I presented it at one of my classes at Berkeley. And my professor at the time was like, you should maybe flesh out the structure of this. It's not really a song right now. And I don't know. I liked it. She was like, or you could just say F you and do it as you want. I didn't want to be rude, so I was just like, oh no, maybe I'll try it. I did not try it. Sorry, but I like it. I don't think every song needs to be super like over sanitized. Like not everything needs structure like that. And I've noticed that on the second album, there's a few songs. I really did try to focus on like songwriting and song structure. So there's a lot of songs that do kind of fall into that. But at the same time, I also like songs that are just a big movement that evolve until the end, and then there's this big kind of hit that is maybe the final chorus or the chorus that finally comes in at the end. Kind of like, I forget the Elton John song. I want to say Tiny Dancer. I sound like a fake musician, but it's where it's kind of verse after verse after verse, and then only after some time do you ever get to the chorus of that song, and it keeps kind of pulling you along. I kind of like songs like that. So there's a few where it's just verse, and then there's a little break section, verse, little break section, and then it leads into this big chorus, this big final act almost. And I feel like there's no need for me to change that. I think song structure is arbitrary, It adds to the idea of it being a pop song, but other than that, it's kind of arbitrary. So anyway, after that little ramble, let's go over the guitars to this track. So we still have that main chord thing going on in both these. Which again, I'm pretty sure was a vocal melody that I played in, and I decided, yeah, I don't want this to be the vocal melody, so I'll play it on guitar. And there's another like chord thing going. There's the root hits again. That's just a different, that's the same as the two guitars up here, just processed differently. That like chord thing going on. And I think this might be just the root. Or this might just be a chord strum. Yeah. So that's just to add harmony. Sorry. Yeah, and that's just a more concrete way of me playing the chord progression, because a lot of my songs don't follow on the first record, don't follow a strict chord progression where I'm playing chords through the song. They kind of just have a lot of things playing different parts that build this inherent harmony, right? So different guitars might be playing different parts of chords. The harmonic information is never really broken down into one part or one instrument. So, and then the drums are the same. It's just those layered drums. The bass line changes. Now, I can't explain how much this bass line carries the song. Like, you look at how many guitars there are, and you think, like, yeah, the song wouldn't be the same without the guitars. But this bass line just... like, that's a whole different song. If you get rid of the guitars and you play something else over top of it, I mean, I guess you could say that for any song. I'm just talking smack. And then these synths come in. Which are also playing the vocal melody. Not the same one. They're playing the part of the vocal melody. And you'll hear that in a second. So, vocals.
I feel it now, not feel it now. I feel it now, not feel it now. Not feel it now, not feel it now. I feel it now, not feel it now. Not feel it now, not feel it now.
Absolutely tragic, those background vocals. But they add to the song. And then... yeah, and then we have this like solo section, which I think was pretty cool. And should probably explain these two now that I like those have caught my eye. So originally I had this so pretentious idea where during this cut I was gonna put, it might have been something from Breakfast Club, like a scene that I was just gonna have spoken word from it, but that just felt over the top pretentious. Plus I would have to like clear the right to use the clip, but I felt like that movie is a lot about pressure, and especially like social pressure and fitting in, and I felt like it was appropriate to the overarching themes of the record. And then it was going to get grittier and grittier and kind of build up and get kind of smushed, and then here it was going to come clean, but I couldn't figure out how I wanted to execute that. So I figured the song sounds fine without it. Anyway, back to this little synth solo that's going on here. I thought about playing that on guitar, but I was like, there's already so many guitars, it's not going to stand out as much. I was like, in the worst of cases, if I'm playing a live gig, I'll play it on guitar anyway. It doesn't matter. So just for the recording. Sorry, there's like something on my screen. Yeah. So that's that sound. And then it goes into... where this comes in. Funny enough, it's like my favorite guitar part. I don't know why. I love that guitar part. Excuse me. And then these synths. Ooh. Which is again all the synths. It's just the solo is kind of lowered, so it's not taking over the attention of the listener. And then this banjo. So I'll explain. There's another song, there's a demo song that was originally on the album that I made just because I really wanted a banjo on the record. And I couldn't figure out where to fit it in, so I made a whole song. It didn't end up making the album, but I decided to put them in this because I needed something at the end to add a little more vibrance, to add a little more like, this is the ending of the song vibe. So I put in some banjo, very low. And it's all the way in this ear. Yeah. And then that continues into the ending. And again, they're panned completely to opposite sides just to give it a stereo feeling, a spread. Oh, and then there is this. So there's actually vocals going on during the song, but they're so low you can't hear them, and I'm not going to play them because they're not meant to be heard. They're just meant to be there. But there's also this, which is, so there's two recordings. So there's this, which you don't really hear in the version that's out, which is, so my friend for Christmas a year ago, 2 years ago, gave me like an original iPod. And so I use it for my own personal like music library just for fun because it's kind of cool. And I put all my songs on it and I was listening to it through the speakers. I was like, oh, how do the speakers sound? I was listening to this song and I was like, oh, that kind of be cool as an intro. So this is me playing Pressure out of the iPod speakers and recording it with my iPhone. So it sounds really crackly and distorted and it's kind of off, so it's warped. It's cool. Yeah, I thought it was cool, but it just didn't, I felt like the song didn't need an intro like that. It just kind of should get started. So I didn't put it in. And then there's this, which is the same thing. I just wanted to ever so slight background of the song. So yeah, that's Pressure. Let's see what we go over next, because I haven't decided yet. So next, we're going to be going over Thunder. And as you can see, this is actually the demo version of it. So this isn't the finished track. And we'll go over this, and then we'll go over the actual version that you hear when you listen on Spotify. So Thunder was originally an acoustic song. It started on acoustic, which is kind of funny because I never start songs on acoustic. And it was originally one chord the whole time. And I was like, oh, this is a banger. This is actually really good. And it was not. And that's what this is, this like sub one. That's the original like acoustic version. I can't really, I mean, I could play it here. I'll play it for you because it's sped up in the new version in this demo. So it'll kind of sound messy, but
she's got a heart like thunder.
Yeah. I don't know what the original BPM is. Well, I could probably. Oh, that might be it. Okay, 96.
She's got a heart like thunder. She says she never strikes more than once. Hoping that one day you'll find her. If you can't handle being struck.
I've not heard that in the longest time. That's actually really funny. And then what's the chorus?
You take my breath away. Go with the wind, I knew you wouldn't stay.
Oh, I remember this.
But you seem to shake the ground. Like an earthquake, you always take me out.
Oh, that's so interesting. I haven't heard that in forever. That's really funny. And then
my heart burned like a forest.
Oh, okay. All right. No. Okay, back to what we were doing. So is 115. No. That's where it falls off. So that's originally how it started. And for the most part, the lyrics stayed the same. I think I had maybe 3 drafts of the lyrics where it was that. And then pretty much what you'll hear now, the only thing that really changed was the chorus. Because originally it was like, should I name it Thunder? Should I name it Earthquake? Should I do this? And I kind of just fidgeted around with the phrasing of things. So, but this song is 3 parts, and that's it. It's guitars, it's vocals, and it's drums, and that's it. And this little wind chime. But other than that, there's no bass in this song. There's no like synths or anything. It's a pretty stripped down song in terms of something I would normally create. And I think that comes down to the nature of, I think that the lack of knowledge I had contributed to what makes this song good, and that's being stripped down. That's being a very raw and not complex track. So let's give it a listen, and then we will break it down and discuss further. That's probably, I always go back and forth between Thunder and Right Here and Pressure. That's probably my favorite song off the album though. And it's actually really hard to play because there's so many guitar parts and 2 drum parts, and it's really funny to me. So let's break down the guitars. Much like Pressure, this production has a really layered, lush guitar. And you know what's funny? I didn't know the verse 2's lyrics were different. That's pretty amusing to me. I was hearing that and I almost wanted to pause and be like, ew, but I didn't. Yeah, brother, ugh. So these guitars play, I think there's what, like 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guitars throughout the whole song. Almost impossible to play live. So so actually I'll start with one and then I'll just kind of bring the others in. And so you can hear that's the original like demo chord. That's what the original demo was the whole way through. Okay, let's play it over. So that's all the intro. And then again, it's just essentially guitar and drums. And it's two drum kits, and it's literally in Logic. I'll show you. You can populate a session. They call it populate. Why didn't it do that? With a drummer track, and it literally plays a like default kit from Logic that, I mean, it sounds pretty human. It sounds pretty good, right? And that's all I did twice. So I did it 2 times, and I used the original kit from Logic for one of them. Probably one of the laziest things you can do as a producer, right? But it sounds good. Why am I not going to use it? So that's one kit. And then this is the same thing. It's a drummer region, but rather than use an in-house kit from Logic, I actually imported my own sounds. And you can hear the samples. And those are just from Splice. So together, they make a really nice groove. I have to play this one solo. Sorry. You can hear the hi-hats are accented really nicely when you put the two together. It's cool. So yeah, and then with the guitars. That's pretty much it. And then aside from that, there's these little parts that'll play just to kind of bring you from one section to another. So that would sound like this. That brings us into the pre-chorus. And then there's this little wind chime, which is the most bare level like ear candy you can do in a production. It's just one thing right in the beginning to bring you to the pre-chorus. That was cool. I liked it. I don't know. I think I just found the sound. I was like working on this song. I was like, that's cool. Tossed it in there. So next up, the pre-chorus guitars. It's the same thing where it's just a bunch of guitars layered. It's just silent. Okay. That's where it cuts off, so I'll just play it with this. And then that soloed just sounds like this. Yeah, and then into the chorus we go. You take my breath away. There's no energy in those vocals. That's so funny to me. You take my breath away. You make my body shake. I just came home from because I think this was when I was working at, oh, should I say where I was working at? I don't know if I can. I was working 2 jobs and I was going to Berkeley. And I probably came home from a double shift. And I was like, bro, this sucks. I just want to record. I just want to get the idea out. And so I just tossed the vocals down. Yeah. It was really funny. There's just nothing to those vocals. That's just dead. So then these are the chorus guitars. to a certain degree, you wonder like, oh, how many guitar? It's such a bad habit. To what degree do the guitars need to actually be there? Because at some point, there's only so much space in a stereo mix. You know, how much can you fit in there? It's like, what degree do the guitars actually need to be in there? And to be honest, you probably only need half of these guitars. But I'm a maximalist. Especially this whole record, this whole first album was me being an absolute maximalist. And there's a few tracks on the second album where I really should be a producer or I should be a reducer more than a producer. But I have fun with it. So my production's a characteristic at this point is that they're just huge. They're just magnificent beasts. And then the drums for the chorus. And then it goes back into a verse, which is pretty. I don't even know my own song. They go into the post-chorus. So the post-chorus was, I think the guitars are pretty much the same, right? I don't know. I forget where that came from. I think it was another class that I was in where somebody said that most pop songs now have a post-chorus. And I was like, I don't really have any songs with a post-chorus. Toss one in. That's a lot of like what my music is, where it's just, oh yeah, that's a thing that you can do. I haven't done that before. Let me just toss it into a song and see if it fits. And sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. And so for this song, I mean, it's a pretty dancey song. It's like a song that at least makes me want to get up and move. So why would I break that, not tension, but break that kind of vibe after the chorus and just keep it? It doesn't break the immersion, so to say, to the song at all. And then, yeah, the verse 2 is exactly the same verse, or the pre-chorus, the chorus. The bridge is the only part that changes at all, and it's kind of sudden, but I kind of like that. So, take me out. And again, this is the demo, so I'll go over the version that you're actually hearing after this. But so bridge guitars. This is the first time where like I totally lost my train of thought. My bad. That's actually really funny. But this was, I felt like the song wasn't based in a chord progression. It was based in the groove of the way that everything was moving. I guess you could say the groove of the chord progression, but that wasn't the main focus. And so in the bridge, the contrast is, instead of being all over the place and there's a lot of guitars and there's a lot moving, that the bridge would kind of draw it back, and there's 3 guitars playing for the most part. There's 2 that come in at the end. The drums kind of settle into like the fundamental movement, and it gives you this lull between chorus to chorus that doesn't bore you in between, gets you ready to kind of drag into the next. So let's go in. I'm just yapping over here. So let's go into the guitars for the bridge. So that's the one guitar. It's just the chords. I actually didn't know that's how the last guitar went. I actually like that a lot. And then there's these 2 that come in at the end to ramp up before we hit kind of messy. Kind of sound like messy when you solo them out, but that's it. It brings you into the. Sorry, I always cut off the tracks, but you've heard it before. You can hear it on the album. So So yeah, this is the most fundamental they are throughout the whole song. And it's just to give contrast. Right? Cool. So that's the demo version. Let's check out the finished and final version. Okay, so then this is, and it's all stemmed out, so I can't really break it down like I did before, unfortunately. But this is what it sounds like. Version on Spotify. Guitars are exactly the same throughout the whole song. The bridge guitars may be different. The bridge was the part that underwent the most change. I felt like that's the vocals. And then the vocals are really what changed the most because we added. I felt like midnight. Oh yeah, okay. So the vocals are a lot more polished and there's a lot more harmony to the finished vocal, and that's really what I wanted to go over. So you'll hear there's the main vocal down the middle, there's some panned, and then there's like harmony vocals that are just basically me yelling or like yapping away, and it's pretty funny. She's got a heart like thunder. She said she never strikes more than once. Woo! Hoping that one day you'll find her. If you can't handle being struck, you steal my thunder. So a big thing is you can hear that in the verse, there's maybe one or two background vocals, and they're very quiet, and they kind of blend into the main. If you can't handle being struck, and then it opens. You steal my thunder and my heart, my heart. Let's hope the ground doesn't split apart, apart. We let the rain crash down on us, on us. I don't know why it's doing that like feedback thing. You take my breath away. You make my body shake. That's so funny solo. Like an earthquake, you always take me out. You always take me out. It's funny, you can hear a mistake at the end of this one. Or I probably went to go like breathe in or something and I cut it and I didn't cut it good enough. That's pretty funny. And then this bridge part. I felt like midnight rain. I wish you felt the same. The season's changing. It's getting humid. I'm needing shelter. You can hear that. That little like I would call it like a riser is literally me, and it's just me like at really high pitch bending up to bending up to whatever. And I wanted it in there, but I didn't want it to overpower because I really like the drum groove. So I just wanted it, and I don't think you can even actually hear it in the final mix. It's that low, but I thought it was cool, and I wanted to put it in there. Yeah, that's literally me. I think the right ear sounds really high. I might have pitched it up because I don't think I can reach that frequency. But so that whole section into the last chorus. So yeah, that's Thunder. Okay, so I was between Need, but I know that's not on the first album, but it was out. It's actually on the second album. Spoiler alert, I told a bunch of people it wasn't going to be, but it is. This one, This one and What's the Point, I have a love-hate relationship with, because I like the songs, but I think there's, whether it's the lyrics or the mix or whatever, there's something that I can't get past listening to it. And so I don't listen to them. I love Thunder. I love Pressure. I love Right Here. I'm Not in Frame. The camera's mirror and it pisses me off. Love Need. I like most of my songs, but there's like one or two things in What's the Point and in this that I'll listen back and I'm like, no, I can't do it. So this song 3 underwent a lot of changes. And much like Right Here, there's a single version that you can hear on YouTube, which is arguably even worse. And God, I should explain myself. I don't like the lyrics of the song. I don't like the vocal performance. And realistically, that's the only gripe I have. But whatever. So you can hear the single version on YouTube, much like Right Here. And I kind of liked making those songs, putting them out one way, and then fixing them or adjusting them, changing them for the album version. And so I did the same here. So if you listen to the version on YouTube, it's different to the version that's on Spotify and out on like Apple Music and all those. So this song, where do I start with this song? This song and Right Here kind of came along similarly, where it was an interjection of change and a lot of like, how do I phrase it? So, okay, let me put it into this perspective. A lot of my songs sound like love letters or like songs to an individual, when more often than so they're about a situation or a feeling. And it may sound like I'm singing to a partner, but I might be singing to someone else who's an important figure in my life, or I might be just simply singing about an emotion. Need, for example, is not about a person. Like the chorus is, I need you just to feel it or something. It's not about a person. It's about like an emotion or a feeling. And 3 is in the same vein, about a feeling, about a situation, about the change in which I felt like there was a lot coming at me at once. And I maybe misjudged where I was putting fear or anxiety. Yeah. So that's the explanation of 3. So it's a pretty long song. I'm not going to play it the whole way through. I'm just going to break it down into some sections. So the main verse is this, and I decided to cut out the original reason it was called 3 was because it had 3 distinct kind of song sections, or they were completely different songs, and I ended up cutting the first, the third, so it really has no justification of being called 3, other than it's the 4th track on the album, and that's incredibly stupidly funny. So I cut that off, and I really liked the synth pop sound of the second half, going into the more like funky second half of this. And it's funny because I can tell what I was listening to when I hear this song broken down. I was actually listening to, what's the name of the song? I can hear it in my head. It's a song by The Regrets. I can't think of it right now, but it's a song by The Regrets, and I can hear it, and I'm like, did I really have to make it like that idiosyncratically similar? It's really goofy. So anyway, you'll hear it a lot in the bell kind of melody in the verse. The chorus is fine, so let's listen.
Wishing you were better than what what my last one did. I wish you listened, but here we are again. If you could show it, how would you show me love? I can't remember, and now it's all just how it should.
Again, there's no life in those vocals. What am I doing, man? So it started off with this drum loop. Actually, that's multiple. So there's hats, and there's that. And then I added the snare was a lot of, like, oddly enough, what gave me the idea for the song. And then these piano chords were kind of where it solidified what the song was going to be. Kind of cool. Sitting back, I'm like, oh, this is actually good. I'm like, wow, maybe I did cook. And then these bells. The best part. And then there's these guitar parts that come in. These are good. I actually really like these. I don't mean to yap like that. I'm like, maybe I should just let it play instead of yapping. And then the bass. It is, okay, so it's actually 2 synth basses and then me playing live over top. That's really low. But yeah. Usually that's what I do. Usually if I have a synth bass, it's because I didn't feel like the electric bass was enough.
Wishing you were better than what.
Guess I should go over the vocals.
Wishing you were better than what my last one did. I wish you listened, but here we are again. If you could show it, how would you show me love? I can't remember, and now it's all just a
lot of harmony going on. A whole lot of harmony. I'm going to keep this lead vocal muted because that's the one you can hear most predominantly. And if I let you hear the harmonies and background vocals a little more, I think it'll add a lot of context. So the chorus. Goofiest one on the album, in my opinion. in a good way. No, in a bad way. It's goofy in a bad way. It's the goofiest chorus I have. But I like the I think it's got some of the best sounds that I had on the first album. The bell is just my favorite sound ever. Bell is like my favorite sound in the world. And then the bass. Yeah, it's got a good groove to it. And then the vocals. And again, I'm just going to play the background.
I'm spending nights thinking in your mind. You never know, never ask me why. I try to knock, try to get inside. You hated that, wanted me in mine.
Funny enough, there's not as much harmony in the chorus. It's a lot more of following the lead, which is cool. But I didn't remember that. I think that gives it a more centered feel, bringing it in from the chorus, or bringing it in from the verse, pardon me. And then, I don't know, I don't know if I consider this the chorus or the post-chorus, but this is what that sounds like.
Something showed me you only wanted someone with you. Something showed me you only tried to pull me into. Something showed me you're showing me an inconsistency.
Yeah. I think, for me, I try to listen with a unbiased ear, where I'm like listening to it as if it was someone else singing, and I'm like, oh, this kind of sounds like I'm flaming someone, but the truth is I'm actually singing it towards myself a lot of the time. And right here, it's kind of me journaling. It's me like telling myself, I should probably say that it's me kind of telling myself, like, you're good, this is a different vibe for you. This is a new change. This is a new environment. But wherever your 2 feet are planted, that's home. That's where you are. You're good. You know what I mean? So, in the same vein, this is kind of me singing to myself, journaling, telling myself that you have to align yourself with what you're saying, and you gotta reel it in. So that's the context. So that's pretty much how the song goes for the entirety of it. And then this bridge ends up coming in. Sounds like we have some atmosphere stuff going on. So let's listen. Oh yeah, it's just like, yeah, just some. So yeah, and then I think this last chorus has some more guitars on it. It's not. It's way off. That's really funny. That's not that's not where it's supposed to hit. And then it transitions into this next act, which I think is really cool. It's essentially just a bunch of loops that continue throughout until it gets to the horns. I just thought that was like, I was like, oh, this is really good. Let me add a woo. What? Okay. Favorite parts is that it's just how well these bells and this guitar go together. Just works. It's just poetry in motion, to be honest. And then of course this end section is really where we were leading to. Sorry, I don't mean to cut it, but I realized I didn't play the keys. It's the same drums. Drums did not change at all. Before I play the whole thing again, fun fact, normally I am incredibly anal about the fact that I need to play the instruments. Like, I need to play what's going on. But these horns are actually not me playing. So they are samples that I got from Splice that I just chopped up and rearranged in a way that I thought sounded like it fit. So that's just literally a bunch of samples. They were loops, and I would listen to the loops and then cut the parts that I thought I could rearrange. Sometimes that's what you just got to do, you know? Work with what you've got. Don't be like, "Oh, I don't have this, so I can't do that." No, find a way to make it work. You know, it's the things that you can't do that breed the creativity to create something different. So anyway, this is what it all sounds like. And that is 3. So next, we'll go over need, I think, and that'll finish us up. So again, we'll play the song through and then talk about it after. Beautiful. Caught that loop at the end. That's exactly what I wanted. So yeah, so a little preface and context to the song. Song was originally really different. It was a lot more similar to It's a lot closer in sound to like I Feel It Coming by The Weeknd. It was a lot more of like this airy, upbeat track. And for whatever reason, I just wasn't feeling it. I'll probably, because I'm making a second video about like demos that didn't go on the album. So I'll definitely go over it there. But I don't know, for one reason or another, it just didn't vibe, didn't feel it. And yeah, this song was not even made when I was working on the first album. This song came pretty early into the second album's conception, and I've been 50-50 on. I was 50-50 off if I'd put it on the album. I was like, it was a single. It was, it was kind of a one-off thing. It was kind of like a in-between, a transition song from the first to the second. Maybe I won't, but I've decided that it is on the second album, and I've changed it a little bit. Not insanely, but there's some stark differences, much like I've done with other songs in the past where I've put them out before the album. But anyway, so this song, like I mentioned with 3, isn't actually about someone, and I don't know, I don't know if it's like a conscious thing I do or it's just how I write. It, to me, if I listen with like an objective ear, kind of sounds like, yeah, okay, I probably am sounding about or singing about someone, right? But it's actually about addiction and that feeling you get, kind of like straight up like needing something, but I wanted it to sound like I was singing about someone. So let's dive into what created this song. So the hook was the first thing that I had written, and I don't usually write hooks for songs. I feel I kind of just spew out and it develops, but this was the first thing that I ended up coming out with. And unfortunately I can't show you because it's bounced, but that's maybe 3 or 4 sounds off Serum, just kind of crunched together and built into that one layered, lush sound. So then we are into the verse, and the hook continues, and next come these big pounding drums. They're not as big and pounding as I had heard in my head. They're pretty regular drums. And then we have these synths that are kind of just poking. Wait, are they playing? Yeah, okay, the arp is. And that's just an arpeggio running through like the pentatonic of E, which is the key the song is in. And that just gives a little more atmosphere and environment. Yeah, there's some synths that kind of just poke their head in here and there, mostly during the chorus. And then guitars. Again, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 main guitars. There's this, which is actually a guitar, and then there's a 6th at the end. So let's play this. Kind of basic, just to keep the song moving. And then there's no bass in the first verse. Sorry, I feel like it was already kind of a full environment for the beginning of a song. I didn't feel like I needed to add bass, so no bass. And then we have the lead vocal, and then there's a lot of vocals that poke in underneath. So this is the lead.
Keys off my piano, tear the strings from my guitar. I'd rid every last distraction, bleed from every single scar.
And so this is actually the chain that I use, which I didn't know I put retro color on it. But yeah, it's just giving it a little bit of life. So we have that. Oop. And then these are the vocals playing underneath.
Keys off my piano, tear the strings from my guitar. I'd rid every last distraction, bleed from every single scar. Because giving you the power makes me feel powerless. Ignorance comes with bliss and destroys your paradise.
Oh yeah, and then there's that little
Destroys your paradise.
yeah, there's that, which just gives like a little vibe to the whole thing. And then there's these, which
Destroys your paradise.
are so quiet. Like, I don't even know if you can hear it very well listening to them solo. They're just so quiet, but they kind of add a little zhuzh, if you will. And then there's these, which is me playing with that's me that's me playing the I think it's just a straight E on guitar, like a power chord maybe, and I'm playing with the volume knob. I'm just rolling it on and off. And then it's going to a bus with reverb, delay, and EQ. So yeah, that's what the verse sounds, and then we go into the chorus. So most importantly, we have these drums that are adding a lot of, sorry, I'm like leaning off to the side, that are adding a lot of percussion and a lot of like big kind of sounds that kind of come at your face, pause, that kind of hit you in the face and add a lot of like ambience to the whole song. Not really ambience, but those hi-hats. And then we have another kit underneath that it's like really washed out. It's really reverby, just to add a layer and some depth to the drums. Oh, and there's delay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I thought the delay added a cool rhythm. You can hear it just adds that. So there's that. And then the hook changes. And I actually think this is like one of my favorite little parts of the song. The hook. So the hook sounds originally like this, I'm sure you know. And in the chorus, I just essentially made it double time. And that did it for me. That did something. That I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. I'm gonna just keep that in there. And then these synths that poke in. Yeah, this just plays the melody. This is I love my bells in my songs. Oops, hello. And the arpeggio kind of falls out. Excuse me, I hope you didn't hear that. That's embarrassing. And originally there was this. It's the goofiest sound I've ever heard. But it was meant to follow the kick and just kind of reinforce the root of the song. But I didn't really like it. So that's these parts. them out and listen. So we have this one, which is just playing the root, just playing that E. And then this, which is doing, much like thunder, that kind of chordal, just flipping between chords. Kind of similar, but they're just playing off of each other. They sound like they're actually side-chained. No. They might be, and I bounced them that way. Interesting. They are! I knew it. So they're they're going to a bus that is side-chained, which, if you don't know what side-chained means, it essentially means that when one signal is coming in, it's lowering the noise coming out of the guitar signal. So like if there's a kick drum playing, most of the times you'll sidechain the bass to the kick drum so that the frequencies don't interfere. So when the bass is playing, right, and the kick comes in, the signal for the bass stops playing when the kick plays. So it's like instead of like playing the whole way through. Anyway, that's a very it's a very like unnuanced way of explaining it, but that's essentially what goes on. And so you can hear it. They call it pumping. There's like a pumping going on when you listen to the guitars. So you can hear it kind of swelling in and out. And the guitars are what really gives most of the movement to the track. That's what kind of gives it its groove and its momentum forward. Other than that, we have some shakers, which is me actually playing the shaker, which is kind of funny because I usually just get loops. And a tambourine. Oh, I was jump scared. I was like, what actually is that? So that's, I think, me clapping and playing a tambourine, and I kind of I kind of messed around with like the reversal of it and gave it like a really weird kind of like mushy what's going on vibe. Can't even really kind of and it's just to add a little movement. And then the bass comes in for this. So we have and you can kind of hear that, like, again, what I was saying with, I want to say, Thunder was, I don't usually distribute the harmonic information solely to one instrument. So, like, this hook is playing two notes, and usually it's suspended. So you're not getting head low. So you're not getting a lot of that, like, full, what chord is this actually? But the guitars kind of come in. And then the bass comes in. And it just locks in with that hook. You get a lot more of that chord information of what's going on. So, and then we have this. which is again me playing with the swell on a volume. So then the verse is the same, but the hook cuts out. So there's this guitar, which is just playing a kind of chord, a nice jingly chord. Add a little sparkle, give the song a little ambiance. And this comes in. Hook comes back. So let's play it in totality.
Recognize my words are just a figment of the past. Try to go back, try to fix it at the starting. But still I read the keys off my piano.
What is going on out there? Oh my heavens. So then I got so close. Then the bass comes in. And then the hook into the chorus again. And we have the bridge. Where really just the guitars and bass. Feels very disciplined and it's kind of a very militaristic rhythm. I felt where it was very disciplined and stand up straight, and I felt like for the context of what the song was about, it was very fitting to have a bridge that was made you feel stand up straight, do this the correct way, do this that way, and then the guitars yapping, and then the guitars. Those guitars come back in. So let's listen to the bass. I don't think I played the bass. I did play the bass. So yeah, we have the bridge and then this interlude that kind of just this is actually one of my favorite things I've ever done, and it's so small. It's the tiniest detail. And it makes no difference, and it sounds incredibly stupid, but just trust, okay? So, right here, from the break, from the bridge to the interlude, I think it's this. It's not English. It's not any language. It's the stupidest thing, but for me, it does so much. Just listen out for it. It's beautiful. It perfectly brings the bridge to the interlude. It's just that little it's the rhythm of the actual phrase rather than what I'm saying or the notes. It's that rhythm that beautifully, in my humble opinion, beautifully transitions the bridge to the interlude. I love it. It's little details like that. And then finally, we're brought to the last chorus. Is nearly the same in the single version. Except I'm just ad-libbing. And I just screech certain parts.
And I need it just a bit. I need it. Cause when I get that feeling, I need it. Oh, I need it. And I need it just a
It's like one of my favorite parts. I was like, this is a really tough song for me to sing, and like by the end of it, hello, we don't need to do that anymore. All done. So by the end of it, I was like, I was just like kind of frustrated, and I couldn't hit, like my voice was so tired and so like blown out that by the end of it, I just yelled and I caught it. And it felt like such a beautiful expression of like anger and frustration and kind of like sadness and yearning that I was like, I have to leave that in. And then I just processed it with a bunch of delay. It's auto-tuned to crap because it was so out of tune. But, sorry, I'll just play it solo. It's not solo. Yeah. Oh. Hello. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite parts. And then it just leads into this like where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just let it simmer. I'm gonna let that like delay kind of float out of the listener's ear and add this guitar that's just coming in and grooving. Guitar actually changes and just kind of grooves. And that's the end. And then it just goes back into that. And then it starts to loop again. I mean, it's the cycle of like addiction, right? It's a cycle. And so that was the idea behind it looping. So that's neat. And that's the last song that I'm going to go over for this one, because that's all of the finished ones that I'm going to show. The rest are demos, and I'll go over that. Probably do that tomorrow. So, yeah. If you liked this, thank you. Actually, if you made it this far, thank you. Wow, it's probably like an hour-long video, so I appreciate it. Thank you for listening to the music. Thank you for watching the video and being interested in how I make my music. The upcoming album, That Which Is Mine, will be out September 23rd. Rollout begins May 17th. So just over a month. Very excited. I am. It's awesome. I can't wait for people to hear what I've done and the improvements I've made and enjoy some music. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Take care.